red day. We need to make sure that we keep our mentality in the more positive light. So the best thing I can do is try to bring the positivity. God knows, in my own circumstance, that I always start out the day, and it always, for whatever reason, will start off with that negative line of thinking. And I'm just going to share a little info, and then we'll try to get into this hot and heavy, have that more personal connection as we go in this morning, and take this from an area of growth. So every morning when I wake up, I have to fight the never-ending battle of making sure that I try to get into a positive mind frame. Ever since I had a closed head injury when I was 26, got into a really bad accident, not my fault nonetheless, but I had closed head injury, frontal lobe damage. So I always wake up and I got this anxiety, I have this panic, everything bothers me. Not in like oh my god, I hate everybody, but like I get really like irritated when I see people not doing what they should be doing, or I see people ignoring, or it's a constant battle that I have to remind myself. So this morning, what's fixed that is Julie's over the years made me stuff, and I save everything. So I took it out of a box. So she's made me this by herself, her hand. She's good with it. She's made me snails, other kinds of snails. She's made me little turtles and big turtles. She's made me these kind of guys, and this Michigan gal, and this little guy. I know, what does this have to do with crypto? Well, sometimes you need to find your center. Made me this little octopus, made me this little dinosaur, and this guy, and this guy, and this little guy. I think this was one of the first ones. And then she definitely progressed as the years went on. But it definitely brought me to a center of balance. So I have all my little friends out here. And sometimes you got to find your center of balance. And I did a poor job starting out yesterday, but ended very strongly in the live, having a good center of balance. And today, I think we have to have an even deeper center of balance. The good thing is I've avoided the allure of gambling on FanDuel, on sports. In fact, I stopped watching sports besides Michigan now. And that's helped me bring an even deeper center of gravity, because that temptation definitely will send you in the wrong mindset. And it'll take gambling from just a sports bet into a overall life thing. So I'm at least blessed to the fact that I don't even have that downloaded, and I'm able to at least avoid it for now, because it's a never-ending fight, especially when you have an addictive personality. Not saying I'm an obsessive compulsive gambler. It's never ever gotten close to that point. But the point is you got to find your center of balance. And if I'm gambling in something else, it finds its way very easily into an investing standpoint is the point. So I started out that way, just so that you could see how I found my center of balance this morning. I feel much better. Julie came out here and talked to me, and she's like telling me good stuff. Good stuff. Speaking of wonderful woman, as Mrs. Stott said, Mrs. Stott is a fantastic woman as well. We have another beautiful lady in our audience that turned 50. I'm allowed to say it because Tanya's talked about it before. So Tanya, I hope you're enjoying your birthday, love. I really do. You've been such an influential part of this community. And it's just an unbelievably awe-inspiring thing to realize how many people truly care and support what I do, support each other. So instead of looking at it as a negative, we look at it as a positive going forward. And that's the goal. 2025 or 6. We can have shaky roads, but the bottom line is all of us together, look what we've done with the charts. When everybody else is running scared, we talked about that liquidity box yesterday when it had this artificial run up, which had no business. We said it's going to end up coming down into here, and that was a bearish sweep. We came through this liquidity box, and once you lose that little box, and MQ was very influential yesterday, I talked a lot about this as well. We put that box there for a reason. It came right through. It just came right through. So the way I want to start this out is Everybody seems to think that I've lost my belief. Not everybody, but a lot of people that come in, they think I've lost my belief. In fact, I haven't lost any belief. I have the same faith I always had. I have even more faith because the markets are going in such a unified way where now we have a bona fide head and shoulders, guys. Like, let's just, when we start, and I want to start like this. XRP Future Millionaire. It's Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And XRP right now, as we can see, started out very, very interestingly. We've got a shoulder, head, shoulder. That's a head and shoulders pattern. Really wanted to say it like that this morning for some reason. I don't know why. I wanted to say XRP Future Millionaire proudly this morning. So, I think we're all very blessed to be here together. And that's the number one agenda I want everybody to do. It's the number one thing I want everybody to do. Let's take a moment and look at the positive. What's the positive this morning? Well, it's certainly not the price with XRP, but don't you feel somewhat positive and blessed that we've been able to stay in front of this for so long? When it was at $1.46, $1.43 yesterday in the live, we talked about it coming right to these areas very quickly. We've talked and preached about not buying a dip when it's not the dip. So as a unified community going forward, I really believe that we're going to do something special in the next chapter. Whether or not crypto has hit its peak, has jumped the shark, which it very well might have, that doesn't mean we can't make a ton, and I mean a ton of just wealth. And it's going to come at the expense of our friends. We don't even know it, but it's going to come at the expense of our friends that aren't so diligently understanding of what's going on with the markets. I still have this very big fear that a lot of people are going to buy top heavy, and we're either going to get a surprise, because I see something weird that's happening in the stock market. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to it, but it is so unusual to see the NASDAQ down 1/3 of 1% on the open, and then to see the Dow up 165. It doesn't make any sense. So that either means the Dow is about to crack, or the NASDAQ and S&P is going to shoot up. Well, the way risk assets are starting right now, XRP's fallen below that $1.34. It's below that $1.33 level. It's put in a head and shoulders pattern in the short term. And I think just the fact that we're all here to watch this, I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think we're very, very fortunate. I think in a field where about 5% of the people that you run into actually understand the cycle, understand the potential of what the Clarity Act means and what it could not mean for crypto going forward, and a lot of other things, I think we're just super blessed here. And we talk about where we can go. We've talked about it. I know MQ's talked about that $1.26, which is, I mean, if you want to be honest, if it comes down there today, it's on point. It could come a little bit lower if you look at this descending consolidation, which until you break this down, you can't even say that it's over. But it's a beautiful area at that $1.26. And in the title, it says, XRP targets 86 cents, which is still the overwhelming target unless we break down the descending triangle, which we failed 3 separate times. We came up there, got rejected, came back down, went up to $1.65, failed to hold $1.56, came back through, got rejected, and now we come back down. The fact that the Asian markets rejected doesn't seem to speak well for this morning. It seems to think we're going to get a liquidity flush. But I'm watching very closely to see if the NASDAQ and the S&P is forerunning the Dow, and is gold and silver finally hitting a local top to now where it has to consolidate and start to show us something. Because that's been my fear going into this week. So I'm hopeful that a lot of people are watching and they're looking at these, because in a lot of senses, these are coming up to double tops. They made new highs, but this is now where these have to make the deal. This is where we have to make the move. Either we're going to push out and risk off, or my biggest fear is we're going to get a surprise somewhere. And I don't know what exactly the surprise is going to be. Is it going to be a rate hike? Is it going to be, and there's probably not going to be a peace deal, but we know we're getting the propagation of war. So with Bitcoin, is it all just fostering an illusion? You've seen what Michael Saylor said. Remember what I've been talking about for about 5 years in here about quantum computing being the end of not just Bitcoin, but of possible digital assets. Because when quantum computing meets AI, we get the ability to create digital blocks and create an artificial supply, let's say. And when you create that artificial supply, it's a problem. So, hey, we have 100 billion XRP tokens, right? What if they made 200 billion? What if there are 60 million tokens right now unaccounted for that are just fake? What if quantum computing has done this enough with the blocks and maybe, and we don't have to do it in the same way with XRP because they're all out in the front, but what if through quantum computing, they now take over a node? They rework the mechanics of how it works. The XRP ledger is by vote, by the amendment. You have to have an overriding majority. What if the quantum computing interjects itself into it, into the voting protocol? Now, this morning, I have no doubt we're going to test this breakdown because that's what we do. So we're going to test this box. We might even test it all the way back up. We might shoot past it. Anything we have to do to encapsulate the USA. They sure can, the cannabis. Wow, that is unbelievably, man. Yep, look at the Claude. Yeah, exactly. And the Claude bot, that doesn't help. And you know what else gave me the underlining fact that I knew? I knew that they were going to be not immune to the quantum computing disaster. When Ripple single-handedly included clawbacks, they created a hook. I'll call it a hook and ladder. But they created a hook, a back-end hook into the cold wallets and on the XRP ledger so the government could confiscate our holdings. And that, to me, signals a problem. And another problem we have, and I just seen it again on Facebook, and I think that's what rubbed me the wrong way when I woke up. So sometimes it's just literally looking at social media and seeing, I seen somebody who's trying to push the XRP community, and you know what they do? They put some fluff out, and then what do? Every single person who comments, and I called them out, I commented in their comments and just said, you're representing the XRP community, and you're the worst part of it. You're misrepresenting what's going on. You're giving fake pricing. And then what do? You send a message. They have them DM you so you can steal their stuff. It's a shame. And I want to be a voice of reason in the XRP community, not just somebody who gets in your face and is like, you son of a bitch, I'm telling. No, I don't want to be that person. I may have been it in the past. And I've been changing that over the years so that we're more friends and not me being so direct and in your face. But we do have to be honest with ourselves. The influencers in this space are killing us. They're killing us. You have no idea how much they're getting paid to kill us. I wish I could show you. I wish I could tell you the offers I've been given. I can only say it so many times and I don't want to bleed into it. But it is a disaster. I've been offered upwards of 4 to 5 figures to misrepresent this entire space. It's a handy payout. But there's one problem. When you have integrity, the money doesn't matter. It might help things, especially when you have a special needs child. But at the end of the day, if you're taking from your own friends, what do we really have? If we take from each other and we're supposed to be the XRP army, why are we stealing from each other? There's enough out there to where we don't need to steal from each other. We're supposed to be guiding each other. And it's becoming a very disheartening place with the XRP community because everybody's full of shit. And it's sad, but we really need to take this back, everybody. And the only way to take this back is stop watching the bullshit. Stop supporting that nonsense, and eventually they'll be gone. If they can't steal your liquidity through cheap rhetoric, they'll be gone. If they can't support themselves with their nonsense, they'll have to go get a real job. Make them go get a real job. We don't need them. I don't need them. You don't need them. I started in this space so you wouldn't have to need them. So you get everything you wanted. Do I say pay me this and that to get this information every day? Absolutely not. I say if you want to join the live classes that I started after almost 5 years, go for it. But I built a reputation to where I should be trusted. And I'm going to give you facts. And I'm going to give you not just, hey, let's open up a chart, which you see every single day. And that's what I think people expected when they got into the class. Couldn't be farther from the truth. If you want to learn the market psychology, if you want to learn the reality of the market, not just the anatomy of a market, the psychology behind the trade, and what goes into finance, you need to join the classes. You don't even have to be there live. Yesterday was the 7th class. And the cool thing is on Wednesdays now, we're going over a topic after each class. And last week we went over CME gaps at a very deep level. This week on Wednesday after the live tomorrow, or after the class, make sure you stick around if you want. We're going to be going over the FVGs, with just a quick example of what you could be seeing in here. And I teach it through Zoom. You get to watch it on YouTube. And I encourage all of you to be in there. I put a lot of work into this. I mean, a lot. I put about 9.5, 10 hours of real time into this when it comes to classes, over 7 classes. So, but the amount of work that goes into it. So even if you have problems with FVGs, we're not going to go through all of this. I just want you to realize when you get into an FVG, there's so many different things you can look at. And if this is foreign to you, I highly encourage you to join these classes. Like even when you get into an FVG, there's different kind of FVGs. So not everything that meets the eye is here. So I highly encourage you, if you want to get into this a little bit deeper, go deeper. If you want to see this in a deeper way, go deeper. We're only in phase 2 right now. Only phase 2. Only phase 2, and there's so much room for all of you. I do this in a professional classroom setting. It's just like if you were in a class. There's so much stuff you can go through. And we're doing it together. And there's going to be a loading database. So if you ever want to join it, you can join it. So if they're going to take people's XRP, why buy? Yes, you're misunderstanding. So what they do is basically they preach something. They're not stealing it. You're giving it to them. Let's make it clear. Why stop buying? That's the fetus attitude. You can't stop what you're doing, Bold. And it's my fault for not explaining it clearly. Don't give in to these people, the bad actors, and stop doing what you are trying to do. We're trying to basically allow ourselves the ability when we get into the lower zones to have the liquidity to be able to be successful. What I'm speaking of are these bad actors that you get on, and you'll see it everywhere. They tell you what you want to hear, and maybe they'll come at you with, did you store your XRP in a cold wallet, or did you put it on a quantum, or the QFS? Is it safe for the quantum financial system, or is it safe for the flip? Or make sure you have your stuff stored properly for the flip so that you don't lose your crypto. You ever hear all of that after one of your influencers tells you, hey, this is what we're going to do? And now if you want to protect your assets, or don't forget the XRP or the Flare airdrop, and they'll give you a link. Or they'll tell you, hey, do this or do that, or here's my favorite 10x or 100x token of the month. That's when they steal from you. They feed upon your trust with what you're trying to learn with XRP, and they take it. They take what you know, they take your emotion, and they gut you like a fish. And then you're left sitting there going, well, wait a minute. These influencers don't even need to take your XRP, remember. The whole bottom line here is they don't need to take anything from you. All they need to do is misrepresent what's going on so that you take your liquidity and you invest in the top of a bull market. But then remember, on the October 10th flush, what did all these people say? Don't buy. Worst time to buy. Don't buy. During that whole 100% retracement back up. In fact, when you wanted to buy the big flush, and then you could have you could have 1x your portfolio. Anywhere between 60% and 1x was guaranteed if you bought that flush. And we did. And we made it. And because of that flush, I don't want to talk about the money, but I was able to withdraw some a while ago. And I've been very clear with I've kept about $31,000 to $32,000 on crack in between there from when we get to the bottom. And do we know when the exact bottom is going to be? Absolutely not. What is the one thing we talked about when this started? We're going to test possibly the upwards of this box to see where we stand this morning. That was the first thing we started with on this live, because you can't go immediately straight down. It's impossible. And now we did back test this area once in the consolidation zone below, even with this little setup. And now, is it going to be a projected out farther touch? If you're projecting out to that $1.26, $1.20, I suppose, like you could do something like this and it could meet just like this. But we're still within a big consolidation. It looks like this. We could draw it out different, but there's no reason. That's the exact setup it's in with the inverse pattern. Unless it breaks that down, we could still very much come up. And when you have a true bottom, remember, a true bottom never does a V. Very rarely, unless it's like a continuation in a bull market. This is not a bottom when it does that. That is not a bottom. This is not a bottom. That is a clusterfuck. What you want to see with the bottom would be this, and bounce out. That would be a bottom. You round the bottom, form a descending wedge, blah, 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 boom. This is shit. This has no rhyme or reason. No volume to speak of. A firm bottom, when you get to the bottom, you're going to see a volume spike. Absolutely going to see a volume spike. You'll know when we're in that range. You know how you'll know? I'll tell you. You know how else you'll know? Q will tell you. You know how else you'll know? Define's learning, and he'll tell you. Mrs. Stott, Mr. Stott, Nick, Bold will know. Even Creamy Goodness is going to know. All of the people in here that come here every day is going to know. The Cannabis Podcast is another person who's going to know. Jerry's going to know. He's been here for many years. Sola Jeffy will definitely know. Scott's going to know. These are people you need to pay attention to. Big Dog's really going to know. He's been here. The Gatman. Great people in Tom's Army we're mentioning. William's going to know. Mo is going to know. Garbanzo, Dan are going to know. Crypto Cooter, Oliver Marks. We're going to know as a group, collectively, because we've been doing this every single day. Even for some of you who came into my life in 24, 25, and even in 26, you're going to know if you stick around. We don't sugarcoat it in this community, and we're the only one that doesn't. Hands down. Even the ones who try to fake it like us can't make it like us because they have no clue what they're talking about like us. Make sense? You can't fake it if you don't know it. You can fake it till you make it, but if you have no understanding, you'll never make it. See, that's the key. Fake it till you make it, but if you have no knowledge, you can never make it, so you'll always be faking it. And once you fake it for too long, there's no coming back. That's why we have to be honest about the charts. And I know this seems to be I feel like I'm going into a public service announcement, but I'm really trying to be honest with everybody. Like, we really need to. I really want this to work out properly for every single person, and I don't care that 13% left are in this speech. I really don't. Those are the 13% that are irrelevant right now. The only thing that matters is the diligent part of this community and that you understand exactly what you need to know. That's it. It's another solace I made yesterday in real time. I said, you know what? What am I so worried about? The people who don't care. I need to worry about the people who care deeply like I do. And that's where my focus is in 2026. And I'm so glad yesterday happened. So I still think we need to do an hour podcast at some point. where we just talk like this. You might not even see me, where we just talk. Where it sounds like we're doing remember my overnight radio show back in 21 and 2? I did an overnight radio show with over 100 episodes, believe it or not. If you were there back in the day, and I do it at 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. It was tedious. I didn't have a big audience. But this is kind of the talks we would get into. And it actually helped me build a segment of this populace that ended up staying. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to get out of the heart. I wanted to put that out in the forefront because every day we can grow. Every day we can grow and learn from yesterday. And I've got a lot of learning to do, believe me. I haven't started out 26 in the mindset that I really wanted to. But I'm also getting better at acknowledging in a quicker fashion that you can do better, and don't be sorrow. You can do better, so do better. And that's what I want our audience to know. We can do better, so let's do better. Let's not forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, in the common terms in the United States, Jesus Christ. We ask God for his grace, and we give guidance to Bearded Viking and Mighty Marcus, because guess what? We could all have it a lot worse. We could all be in a different predicament than we're at right now watching. So I ask God for guidance for Bearded Viking and especially Mighty Marcus for the continued good fight. And I know Mighty Marcus gets courage and he gets a lot of positivity out of what we say here. So can we get an amen? Each and every one of us are the Holy Spirit. I agree with that. We all possess a part of the Holy Spirit, and eventually we'll go back. Holy crap, I didn't even know Bearded Viking was in here. Good morning, Bearded Viking. Like, that makes me really happy to see you in here. I did not know you were in here. Whoa. That actually made me feel good to see your name after I said that. Amen. And honestly, I'm going to start saying this every day. I give all the glory to God. When I wake up, I'm going to say, thank you, God. Thank you for giving me the ability to decipher this nonsense. Thank you for giving me the ability to read through the emotional tirades. Maybe that's why I have this closed head injury and why I ended up the way I am, because it forces me to see the truth. So I thank God for that ability and the gift. Yes, is this a stall tactic to see what we're going to do after 9:30 into 10 a.m.? Not necessarily a stall tactic. Oh, my kitty wants to come in. But it's, we need to see how we react to this liquidity box we're in. Oh, my squirrel friends want food too. Come on, girls. Here you guys go. Peanuts. Get your peanuts. There you go. Get your peanuts. Ah, there's the heart. There goes Walter running across the road with a peanut. There it goes. All right. Sorry about that. My cat wanted it, and then I threw the squirrel some peanuts. And then I got some crow friends out there as well. Chris says, amen, brother. I hope we crash down 2 to 80 cents. I'm selling my kidneys, liver, and maybe a leg or two to long XRP. Well, instead of giving up your kidneys, I don't know if they still do this, but back when I was in school, they would pay you like, I remember seeing it when I was in high school. They said they would pay you like $75,000 to cut one of your nuts out and have a artificial ball, basically, to see how it reacted when it comes to sperm production and things like that. I don't know if they still offer that, but I think it was like $75,000 a testicle back in the day. God knows you probably die now, or they do something. But hey, you could keep a kidney. But welcome to all the members of Tom's Army. I know I went over a lot of you, but thank you so much, Alex and William and Garbanzo, Mr. and Mrs. Stott. It's all an illusion. Define very trusted mod, encouraging people to join the Telegram. I might be willing to have a bionic testy. I could think of worse ideas these days. But let's see. Let's see what kind of bounce back we had with volume. Is there anything that... Ugh. That's the volume. It's going to be rough to push out of these areas, but that isn't. Isn't it funny though? Every morning, no matter how it looks, around the same time we do the same thing. When it comes to market setup, every time we get into like the USA waking up, by the time they get to work, they see some kind, or we see some kind of positivity. And depending on the market outlier, it can be reversed, crushed, or it can be dampened. Now, it's amazing how this liquidity zone is playing out, because that was down into this area, and it's playing pretty appropriately like it's supposed to. This is going to tell us whether or not we're overtly bearish on Tuesday. The algorithms have a spell casted over traders. You know, it's all an illusion. I actually agree with that more than some might think. I think they purposely feed us in the algorithm the same sensical or nonsensical trash. They do it every single day to trick us. And they keep aligning us with the douchebags like Jake Claver and these guys that really have no interest for you. They just come on every single day and say XRP is going to $7 tomorrow, and here's the reason, or it's going to 10,000 by the end of the year. I believe we're supposed to look at that for a reason with the algorithm. Do you know why? What do we not focus on? Hey, let's buy it at 30 cents and sell it at 350 and make 10x. Oh, that's not good enough, guys. It's going to 1,000. If you sell, you're going to miss out. Remember that whole spew? They all say the same thing. So I think the algorithm by design, who said that actually? Who said that? It's all an illusion. You're absolutely on point with the algorithm. Whoa. Cannabis Podcast, thank you so much for continuing in Tom's Army for 13 months now. Wow. Holy smajolies. Ooh, yeah, I should bring that down to 5 in 3 minutes. Ooh, that got... Look how quickly that went into overbought territory in the 5. 4 candles. And Joseph Euler, thank you so much for gifting a sub. If only more had the mentality you have. You have a very pay-it-forward mentality, and I can't thank you enough for that. Tom's Army for over 1 year. Gifted a sub, and ooh, Big Dog got it. See, now that's a perfect gifted sub. Over 6 months again in the XRP predictor, with the XRP predictor, and Tom's Army now over 6 months. That's awesome. That's a perfect person to get the membership. Congratulations, Big Dog. You definitely deserve it. Mr. Stott says, what would that do to the testosterone production? You know, I don't know. It's a heck of a question. You might have to go on some... and I don't encourage this because this is what they're pushing in my algorithm because I work out. If you're over 40, get on T. Get on the test. You know, once you get any kind of artificial testosterone, you fail to produce it. Does anybody know that? So once you take... You ever hear of TRT? Testosterone replacement therapy? It's a hidden disguised name. Oh, it's a replacement therapy, all right, because once you start it, you can never stop. Just listen to what I said. Once you start a TRT, you can never stop. Ever. Your body forgets how to create the testosterone that's left. Sorry. You know, sorry. You don't want that. And the ones who are preaching it are all the ones that were on steroids in the young. So stay away from it. It's just like that in the crypto. There's a correlation here. So if you take a TRT, a testosterone replacement therapy, and you can't produce testosterone anymore, imagine if you're listening to all of these people on here, podcasters, social media influencers, the news, and they're regurgitating the same nonsense that makes your brain go into fear. The fear, the panic, the FOMO, the missing out, the can't sell because I don't want to lose what I haven't made kind of thing. And everybody's regurgitating. You don't know what to think. It's the same kind of thing. Instead of taking a branded pharmaceutical, now you're being psyoped. And it's very easy to psyop retail if you're paying the actual influencer. So just understand there's different ways to go about this. Like, we don't have to be so... We don't have to have the victim mentality if we do it right. So, we're trying to see how these candles work out. A little bit of a reversal candle here, but These next couple of candles here in the 45 are going to be very determined. Hourly, we can look at as well. 2 hourly hasn't quite closed. So that's why I like to look at the 45 in these situations, because it's either going to make it or break it on these candles. And I don't mean make it in a long-term breakout, but we need immediate movement to where we don't push down towards that 126 and lower. Rejuvenated. The level that I'm watching as of right now has been rejected several times. The technical target to 86, it's about 86.6 cents, would be the breakdown. And let's go into the other chart. Whoops. It would be the breakdown. Okay, I skipped it again somehow. I keep skipping it. Of that descending triangle. And that was right here. We started the first hit. Here, let me bring the arrow out, just for anybody who's new as well. Right here, we started the first hit of support resistance right here. This was fine. Resistance 350 roughly, down to a beautiful support at $1.62. However, we said that that was a problem. Why? We didn't fill the gap at $1.52, and I was pissed about it. Why come all the way down there and not come down another 10 cents? So we knew when we came up here it was probably for nothing. We didn't know it yet, but we figured it was probably a bad thing. Top, double top. Came back down, consolidated, boom. Uh-oh. Again, boom. Wow, brick wall. One hit, two hit. High, lower high. Flat support, gets rejected. Boom. Wow, that's a big drop. Flat support. All this work, and again, gets rejected. That built the descending triangle, what could have been a pennant, what could have been an expanding, broadening wedge, which could have even been a bullish megaphone in some charts. But once it created that breakdown in the third hit, we were like, uh-oh, that's a sell point at $2.33 or 40 cents. That was a sell point, a big sell point, because that was validation of a descending triangle. Now it's up to the pattern to not break down. And how do you not break down? You need a volume spike within the setup. And there's only about a 12% this far into it that you're going to break to the top side. Well, we went with the 88% probability and it broke down. Not only did it break down, we broke down to about $1.11, came all the way back up to $1.65, failed to hold the $1.56. In fact, came down and then fell back into the liquidity zone, which had a 10.28% drawdown, which you're seeing right now. We're fighting for our dear life, because once you lose that, and it was a 15.4 cent range, you've now confirmed that technical target down to 86 cents. Just a rejection here after a breach over and not being able to hold is not only a confirmation if we can't get over it, but it is validation that we're going to 86 cents minimum. And then you have 53 cents under it. You've got the all-time, and that's for that, who asked that question? It was a great question. Rejuvenated. That's what we're looking at for the initial technical target. That descending triangle that formed. And yes, it was very sneaky. It wasn't on every chart. That's why there's an importance to have every chart so we can stay ahead of this. On third hit, are you just then waiting for candle confirmation? Then what, say 4-hour candle close, sell, de-risk time? When it comes up through here, yes, a 4-hour candle is one thing, and obviously with the 3 candlesticks following, but I like the daily. I like the daily rejection, because this gave you a complete day to come up here, but we pulled through, confirmed the breakdown, even farther confirmed it, and now every time we try to create a push up, we just continuously create these engulfing candles to the downside. And it doesn't seem so bad in some of them, but like this one, so far today, never took out a high. In fact, never got past the midpoint, and now we created a new low. That is a disaster if we get rejected on this box. If that $1.34 rejects at the bottom side, let's say $1.34.5, if that rejects on the bottom side, it's over. Not over to 86 cents, but over to $1.26. Listen to what MQ saying. That is a fact. And it is a problem. So, it's not necessarily because of the third hit, but it's because of what it represents. You came down on the wick, back through, back down with volatility. I could even say a shoulder was made here, into a head here, into another shoulder here. So unless we invalidate this, that's why I put the drawdown box. And it's like, it's 10.2%. And that drawdown was everything. If we cannot reclaim that area, it's over. We've got to go down another 8 cents from here, 9 cents or 10 cents even. And then we're going to figure it out at $1.26. But the problem is, you're running out of space, guys. We are running out of space. We are legitimately running out of space. And soon people are going to be running for the streets. They're going to be scared. The fact that we can't even get enough steam to come up to that CME is big. You know why that's big? And yeah, we came close right here, no doubt about it. But you know why that's big at $1.70? Because if that's not filled now, that's a confirmation that this bear market is deepening. And until we get on top of that, we can't even talk about possibly reversing a bull market. And then you've got a 15% range. Once you get over $1.77, it's actually about 12.5%. You have to get over this area. You'd have to get over this area once you get up here to validate to me. It's no longer getting over $1.77 and everything's good. Absolutely not. You need to get over $2.02 to make a run at a bull market. That's a long way away. And we are in a breakaway CME gap. Who said that? How does anybody even... Oh, wait a minute. I guess I did show that too. But yes, a breakaway. Oh yeah, that's what we talked about in our class on last Wednesday. After class, we talked about the different... I love that. I love that. Dude, that makes me happy. That means that what we taught on last Wednesday actually sunk in. Excellent. And that was about 20 to 25 minutes after class ended. We did like a, if you want to stick around for extra credit kind of thing. Excellent. MQ $1.33.9. I cannot wait to get into classes. Oh, I wish you were in there. I wish I could just gift the classes to somebody, but it won't let me. I wish it would. I can't do anything about it. It won't even let me let people in that aren't in there, which is... I think there should be exceptions to the rules, but... Look how quickly we rejected that box right now, MQ. And MQ, thanks for being a very trusted mod in Tom's Army and helping this community so much. I agree to disagree, Bearded Viking. I believe there's a time and a place to get paid. And yeah, it makes sense to get paid for the time, but there should always be a rule to the exception to the rule. I don't think everything can be... I mean, I don't disagree with you, but... And it's more than just the class. I put in probably, for each class, anywhere between 45 minutes and 3 hours setting them up. As you guys know, it's very detailed. Probably the #1 compliment I've gotten is how detailed the slides and everything are, with the information in each phase. That's a blessing. Anyhow, CJ2 Pilot says staying after class pays off. I agree. And I really like that idea on Wednesdays to dig deeper and go over things that we'll see in the future. But since we won't be covering the CME and FEG for a while, it was nice last Wednesday to do a CME wrap-up. This week to do an FEG, and then next Wednesday to compare the CME with the FEG so that we can sink in subtly. And if you want to know more about the classes and what we're talking about, video description below and our pinned comments. You won't ever really hear me advertise it. I haven't done a single short about it or a video about it because I want the people that are watching these lives, if they want to take a step in deeper, you know, take a step in. XDC, and we were talking yesterday, like, uh-oh, is that a descending triangle? Remember, they can be slightly... You don't have to have the exact support, but it's got to be pretty darn close. And that is about as close as you can get without it being dead firm. So if that's a descending triangle, these are XDC to our absolute... Some people would say to the absolute peril. I say it's to our absolute blessing that it has been front-running every single one of these drops almost seamlessly. And it's breaking down... We got the rejection in the daily today right now. And it pretty much brings us down to the bottom of this uptrend. It's so scary. But now we're talking about possibly coming back down into the 316. And what I'm not talking about is that's a massive bearish pennant. If this plays out. I mean a massive bearish pennant. And we don't know how massive, because it very well could play out into something like this and be even bigger than we even thought. What if this bearish pennant, and it would be a symmetrical triangle in this scenario more than likely. What if it's actually forming something wider, and that's going to be the baseline, and then when it breaks down, we actually come down, and I've been talking about this for eons. What if this all-time inverse head and shoulders gets invalidated on XDC? What if it gets invalidated? And we have to come back down to yesteryear where we never, and this is my problem. We have, in my opinion, a fair value gap, and it extends 62.5%. That is not a misreading. It extends from 1.35 cents all the way down to imagine if you were getting XDC at 0.02, and I understand that this came up, and it came back down and came up. Never came back in here. And my fear is if it wouldn't hold up here, it would probably come all the way back down and reset that entire handle. But that's only if we break this uptrend that's been formed over a long, long time. It's been about, what can we say, 7-8 years now? And a lot of people would say, well, why? Oh, logical. The classes are Mondays and Wednesdays. But if you're not in there in real time, you can watch them. There's 7 classes now, and they're, I would say, well over 9 to 10 hours of learning right now, just in the first 7 classes. And this is going out indefinitely. I have no plans on stopping ever. Like, this is something I would like to do because it'll keep me more in tune as well, and I can continue to grow in my teaching. And then when I do these lives, it becomes even easier. There's a triple dot cross forming on the 3-day Bitcoin chart. Ooh, I'm not surprised. The news just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? See that weekly dot cross? Anybody paying attention on XDC? It's about as bad as it can look. And yes, they're lagging indicators. So you could very well get a bounce back. Doubtful with this kind of volume. Doubtful in this kind of environment, and doubtful with the way the Clarity Act is about to come into play at the end of April, if you believe anything that the jokers with Ripple say. You know, I can call them scam artists, jokers, dickheads, losers, especially John Deaton, and I've lost subscribers, a lot of them, by calling them out. Remember what I said 2 days ago about how Sam Bankman-Fried, they lied to you about him? That his investments of 1.2 billion are worth anywhere between 40 and 80 billion right now. And then John Deaton has the audacity to come out. Are we serious right now? AI.
One of the most significant examples of a lost investment from the FTX estate.
Oh, it's alarming. And it makes you wonder why the Ripple community is lying to us like this. If we're the very holders, think about it. If we're the very holders, why do they lie to us?
If Sam Bankman-Fried's major venture investments had been held until today, February 24, 2026, their combined value would have dwarfed the initial 9 billion minus 11 billion hole in FTX's balance sheet. By liquidating these assets early to pay creditors in cash, based on 2022 to 2024 prices, the bankruptcy estate...
So guys, if they would have never stepped in, he put a $500 million investment into Anthropic, it's worth $28 billion today, even with the drop. He put $100 million into Solana, it's worth $3.15 billion. He put $650 million into Robinhood, a 7.6% stake, it's worth $5.3 billion today. So who's dicking who around? I don't care if it's a Ripple lawyer, a crypto lawyer that represents XR. He's full of shit. And it's ironic, the day I came out and said that, 9 hours later to the time my live ended, John Deaton comes out. And what does he say? Sam Bankman-Fried's a fraud. He stole all these investors' money. He should rot in jail. You know what? Why lie? You're going to tell me an attorney doesn't know this? I think they're all full of shit. I think they put him in jail because they didn't want people, us, to get ahead. If I didn't know any better, this guy's in the middle of all the bullshit we deal with today. If I didn't know any better, I would say that this guy is the part of it. And it makes you have to put this together.
John Deaton, the founder of crypto law and a prominent advocate for the XRP community, has been a vocal critic of Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, and the perceived double standards surrounding the FTX collapse. Based on his public statement,
and it's like, listen, they can talk all the horseshit they want, but in the bottom line, did he not turn a $1.5 billion investment to anywhere between 40 and 80 billion? So, I mean, think about it. Why would they continuously lie to us about that? And the person who's supposed to represent us fairly when it comes to the XRP lawsuit and things like that, it's all bullshit. So, a lot of people do, believe it or not. A lot of people will believe anything Ripple, XRP, what Brad Garlinghouse, John Deaton, or anybody associated says. Stuart Elder, all these people, they believe it because they're assigned to Ripple and we have the XRP token. And I just don't understand, like, what's the end game here? Is it to literally just fish out all of retail? Like, are they literally just, whatever avenue we have, oh, let's throw this guy in jail because those are good investments. Might not seem like it on the top, but those are good investments. Are we going to put the Clarity Act in to single-handedly hamstring retail? Making this a regulated market by design for, you know, the indoctrination of banking institutions and so on and so forth. And handcuffing retail. You know, so we have to start looking at this deeper than we like this particular company. They can't do anything to us. The longer we allow this, the worse it's going to get. It's just like in our individual independent countries we're all from. We're allowing it to happen, and there's nothing we can do now. It's already too late. Over the last 3 to 5 decades, and 2 to 3 generations, we've allowed them to circumvent the law against us. See, it's just like in the real world. You notice how the laws have now hamstrung us? It doesn't happen overnight. They do a small tweak and another small tweak. After all, it's in the name of security and terrorism, right? It's for your own safety that we have to spy on everything. So I believe that's what they're doing in cryptocurrency. They're not biting the hand that feeds them. They're cutting off the leg that supported them. So you can take that however it's worth. You can take this whole talk this morning however it's worth. Just something that was on the heart when I started, and I rolled with it. I felt like I was getting a message that I needed to relay. So I guess 53 minutes later, I hope that all made sense. XRP's working up its liquidity box towards that 136 like it should. That 45 confirmed a little bit of a push up, at least for the next candle or two, to see how we react to the top here, this area. And I don't know, I think we're in a pretty interesting moment here. Hey, Mr. Pelosi is out there still. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And all these other people that have manipulated and done worse than SBF. I mean, there's a lot worse things that could happen. And then guess who ended up taking over those holdings? I'll give you one guess. It starts with a C, ends with an ounce. And I'm not talking about the cunts, but they're the central banks. I mean, they could be described as cunts too if you come from that side of the world. We're not allowed to say that here. It's a very derogatory statement in the States. But I know with my UK and Euro friends that they call each other cunts all the time, and the women call. First time Tanya called me a cunt, I was like, wait a minute. What? I'm not even allowed to use that word over here. Bearded Viking knows what I'm talking about. You use that word here, you look like you're a slanderous piece of garbage. And the women are calling me it back when they were coming in. I'm like, holy, what is going on here? Then when I call them friends, they're calling me mate. I had a very big learning curve there. But now it seems like second nature. Now I run into the problem of walking around my local friends, and if I say cunt to somebody, they're like, what? Well, I'm sorry, 20 to 30% of my audience on YouTube is from the UK and the Eurozone. And you know, Tanya gives no fuck. She's going to tell you the truth, and that's why I love her. And I hope she's enjoying her big 50 birthday today. She does not look 50. Definitely a young at heart. I know she was on a beach. It looked beautiful. Over here, it's cold. It was, when we dropped our sun off, it was 16 degrees. Now it's all 19. So it's pretty cold here. Definitely not beach weather. Say see you next Tuesday and they won't get it. Fair enough, Cannabis Podcast. I'll never vote. I refuse to vote. Yep, I'm done. Me too. Me too. And you know what's funny? It was written into a prophecy long ago that once they legalized cannabis in the United States and got to do two things. One, made recreational cannabis legal through dispensary kind of actions. And two, made society believe that there's more than two genders. It was the road of no return. Because they believed that people would sell their soul for the devil's lettuce and vote for whoever was preaching it, aka back in the Obama days, remember? And what came of that? They created the bank bailing and a lot of other things that were slowly slipped in. And what did we say? Hey, we get to smoke cannabis. But I mean, it's scary when the market's doing exactly what it's just by design. Like, how is it possible that we can talk about this and then it just happens? How is it possible me and MQ and everybody else in here can talk about this day after day, and then when it happens, it's like, how can we come on, even though we had a candle down that made it look like it was so bearish, know that it was coming to $1.36 to retest this area? And the way it's set up, I wouldn't be surprised if it overshoots it. Dow's now up 360 points with some fuckery again today, right? S&P's up 28 points. All of a sudden, the NASDAQ's up 150. All of a sudden, all that bearish momentum started to reverse here this morning. I would almost guarantee that gold and silver's probably not finding good footing this morning. Although, with the way that this fuckery's going, I'd expect it to probably start reversing at some point. But it seems like the same thing every single day. I mean, we can't even find our way through right now. We can, but we have to be patient. We have to be patient. Even when you look at oil is one of the biggest misrepresentations of everything that's going on. Historically, it is not acting properly, so. And yeah, we could very well get a retest of 50K on the Dow if it continued down this path. S&P could retest 7,000, and the NASDAQ could retest about 23,000 to see those bearish breakdown. And the Russell would be like 2720 maybe? The DAX being up, that's interesting. Up 65, 0.25%. What's going on? What kind of secret agenda is going to be announced? There's going to be some news today. The charts are telling us we're going to get some news that we're not expecting today. So what is it? What's the news? You don't think they drag this on for much longer? In what sense? The way down? Or just the mockery of the markets? Remember, we had about an 850 point down day yesterday in the Dow. So to get a 50% retracement, we'd have to come up about the 49,250-ish. So we're right on track for that. Right now we're at about 49,200 range. That's getting close to that 50% clawback. Oh, dragging down Mellow. Depends where they want to drag this out, my friend. They could drag this out as long as they want, but if we could get a fair swoop down, well, yeah, it could end quicker. But I'm seeing the parabolic nature possibly going to take off with an artificial rally, as we've been talking about with the DXY. And it's come up from about 95 and some change. It's going very slow right now, but we circled this area because the rejection point, assuming we were to run through here, I mean, you could run yourself back up to that 100 pairing, especially in a perfect situation where it goes for a proper rejection. Definitely something that we might have to pay attention to. Definitely hit my knuckle yesterday. Kind of got a little soreness. But that daily time frame, you know, I mean, I know we're overbought, but we got some room here. Weekly's just pushing up. If this does push up, it would be very interesting. Came almost exactly at 95.36. We're breaking down that area. Could we be putting in a shoulder? Could we be breaking further down? Could we be validating? Absolutely, because we have a weekly golden or a death cross to the downside. Not only has the 20 crossed 250s, crossed 200, 100, that's validation to the highest degree. Now the only way to invalidate this is to break above that pattern that we broke down out of, and that would mean we'd have to come all the way back up here and get over 105. I doubt that's going to happen. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Now, you know what I could see happening because gold and silver and miners are going so unequivocally up, and I'm sure all the populace thinks it can only go up still. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to raise rates on us unexpectedly at one time. And because gold and silver is deemed on the rate cuts in the expansion of the debt, I think all it would take is one time to raise rates, and risk assets, gold, silver, and everything you can think of in the stock market would have such a big drop that about 2 to 3 weeks later, they're going to come out and have an emergency rate cut. I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe a month later. I think that's what we're setting up for. And they go, hey, haven't you noticed what the jobs numbers? I mean, hell, on Bloomberg, I don't even need the volume on, but I can read the writing on the bottom. And they said we're in the strongest economy we've ever had. What idiot believes that in 2026? Do we still believe that bullshit? Do any of my audience believe we're in the strongest economy known to man? Ooh, Sola Jeffrey talked about energy harvesting. I love it. And you know, I'm falling victim to it. Until the last couple of days, I had to pick myself up and say, listen, asshole. I can call myself an asshole. You need to pay attention to what's going on with the algorithm because they're intentionally depleting your energy in the algorithm because they know what you don't want to see and they use it against you. The only reason I don't think they'll raise rates is because the yields aren't moving up. They're having a counter trend move today, but I think we see sub 4% on the 10-year. My prediction was when we lowered rates the last time, we'd have an inverted move that would signal a rate hike. If that happened, that would be our signal. And we've had an inverted move since the last rate cut that we did. We actually were inverted, which an inverted push means when you look at the 10, when we cut rates last time, it's pretty interesting if you think about it. What was the last date we cut rates? Do we remember what the last date we actually cut rates? Was that in November, December? I can't remember the last time we actually cut rates. And then we had a drop down. I want to say it was somewhere around here was the last time we cut rates. September, okay, even worse. Let's see. Even October's way over there. So somewhere around here, we'll just say it was at right around where it's at. But after we cut rates, we had a inverted push. Now it's starting to rectify itself. But imagine if this starts pushing back up. Everybody expected this to go down to like 3.25, 3.5. Instead, it went up over 4. Got up to almost 4.25. That's a strong signal that they could do something tricky. Grok says, loving cannabis Tom. Are you saying you're loving Tom on cannabis? Because that would be funny if that's what you're saying. Because of what happened a couple days ago. Last cut interest rates on December. Oh, yeah, December 10th on my dad's birthday. That's right. That's right. Forgot about that. It was in December. November, December. Okay, good. We're at least below that now. Because we had the artificial push up to 4.3. As far as cannabis, this is what? 3 days now since I smoked. Had a little issue on Saturday. I bought some Friday. And I've had this overwhelming feeling that the dispensaries are putting, I don't want to say fentanyl or anything into it, but they're putting some artificial chemical to make you higher. And to give you the fake illusion that it's good stuff. And I've noticed it because it burns different. It breaks out different. It smells different. It smokes. Everything is different about it. It's almost like a fire retardant on it. And I'm very sensitive to chemicals because of my diet. So once I had it, on Friday I smoked. I'm like, I can't smoke anymore today. So I didn't. Saturday I hit it again. And I got sick. Like sick. I threw up for the first time in 12 years. I did not feel right. My center of balance was off. I was sweaty. I was spinny. I was... No symptoms of being sick. Just... And it almost seemed like I was poisoned the way I felt. And I could feel it building. So that was the last time I smoked at about 1 o'clock on Saturday. And like maybe I'll take RSO drops and things like that because I have the Ralph Sampson oil and I believe in it. But you have to find somebody who doesn't add a whole bunch of fillers. I stopped smoking. That was the last time I smoked cannabis. Was on Saturday about 1 p.m. Hash is a very good substance. Absolutely. Now it is, Grok. I think so for me too because of what they're putting into it. In the past, and unless I can grow it or if somebody from my audience grows it personally and they want to send it, that is fine. I won't. I would still try that. If it's homegrown from somebody I trust in the community or if I'm growing it, which is going to be my job this summer, to try to grow enough to last the whole year. This is going to be the first year where I try to do that. And have it dedicated in the burping jars and things so that I can crystallize. But I'm going to buy a whole setup for when I dry it out. But yeah, it's not that it was holding me back, but I definitely was noticing headaches and there's just a lot of things. So maybe it was holding me back. So my solution and I've had it for a long time. And I've stocked up a little bit on these. I have, and this is called Rise RSO, but you need the proper RSO because it's got to have THC, CBD, CBGA, THCA, CBC, CBN, CBG, and THCV, otherwise it won't work. And then you have to look through because a lot of them, when they go for ingredients, they put a lot of shit in it. The only thing in this is hemp seed oil, RSO from concentrate. That's it. I mean, from, not concentrate, from, from the RSO. Yeah. So, is this the drug channel? Is that a real question? I'm telling you about a personal experience and, be aware of something you asked if it's a drug channel. 1, cannabis isn't a drug. Unless they turn it into a drug. 2, it's a herbal healing. 3, don't be so damn sensitive. It's my channel. It's talking about my life. It's another thing. I don't care anymore about that kind of pettiness. I'm trying to teach you something. Either deal with it or don't. You're all allowed to have your own personal bravado. Yes, it's about drugs. We talk specifically about drugs in here. The drug of knowledge, sure. But do you know what RSO oil is? Do you know what it does? Do you know what it cures? Do you know how many people with MS and Parkinson's it stopped the symptoms? But sure, it's a drug. Can I ask you a question? Are your pharmaceuticals drugs? Are your blah, blah, blahs, you know, the protocol everybody has to take by injections, are those drugs? Is the red, blue, and yellow dyes they put in your food, is that a drug? Is your Fruit Loops a drug? Are all your cereals drugs? Are all the sugars and fructoses and all that crap drugs? No, because it's food, right? It's a little food for thought. It's Rick Simpson oil. I don't know why I said it. It's Rick Simpson oil. This is one that you can get. But it's very hard to find nowadays. This was bought a little while ago. But you need to find it with... you got to find it when it's just the concentrate from the RSO. You don't want it with anything else. It's got to be straight hemp. You want to have the hemp oil, but you don't want to get it from a male plant either. Like a male seed. It's the other thing. Don't get your stuff... You need it from flower. I'm going to take it. My new way. RSO and soursop user daily, still cancer free after 5. We pray for your continued remission. Amen. But yeah, no, we're more about just, we like to speak life. Remember, I do an hour. Once we get over an hour, it's my time. So we're just trying to teach you. Very different. It's very different, Wally. Yes, full spectrum is key. You're absolutely right about that. I guess I should have mentioned it's full spectrum. And honestly, if you can find a tincture, and I know Cannabis Podcast has talked about it, if you can find the tincture, that's where it's at. I think Cannabis Podcast talked about that yesterday as well. Oh yeah, it's a cannabinoid. The total cannabinoids in this one is about 213.52 milligrams, roughly. Remember what I said, we're not a drug channel. So, we speak of herbs. I think this is very important. Ben, how did this circulate like this, huh? Bring up RSO and now the audience is just preaching. I love it. Charlotte's Web oil. Interesting. Charlotte Web oil, too. That's interesting. I need to take a screenshot of that. Thank you, Cannabis Podcast. I've learned so much from your channel. It's unbelievable. If you guys don't know, Cannabis Podcast has a station he does with somebody else. Very, very, very knowledgeable gentleman that he deals with. And you can get to know more about their little crew if you watch. But they are very insightful. Like, I've learned so much. I thought I knew a lot, but damn. It's the Cannabis Podcast channel. Here, let me show you. I've shared it before on my station a couple of times. But if you go to the Cannabis Podcast, oops, should come up just like this. Maybe not, because we have so many people that are infiltrating the space. Forgot I cleared out my search history so it wouldn't show me all the same nonsensical BS. The Cannabis Podcast. So basically what I listen to, and I've been listening to a lot of Eric Bischoff, which is kind of funny. So basically what I listen to, so the Cannabis Podcast. Oh, I didn't even see one 6 days ago. Oh, excellent. I guess I shouldn't have cleared it out because it didn't show me the last couple. I'm missing stuff. Well, that's a shame. Oh, no, it cleared it out so it doesn't show I've watched them anymore. I forgot because I cleared out my search history. 571 subscribers. That's going to be a very good one 6 days ago. So, they give you a lot of information there. I encourage you go there. Yeah, the problem is it doesn't come up very easily because it's going to be much like when the only reason mine comes up now is because we built enough of a following to where when you do this, and it's strategic by name, everybody. You type in and everybody's going, I want to be a future millionaire, XRP future. Oh, wait a minute. XRP future millionaire, that's what I want to be. Who the hell's that guy, XRP future millionaire? I say it's the greatest name in the history of XRP, and the fact nobody had it is mind-boggling me to this day. It's funny, my cooking with XRP Future Millionaire, those videos were getting more views at the time than my actual crypto stuff. Maybe I did it wrong. But yeah. There's so much stuff. We have such a wide community of very smart individuals here. I believe we all find each other for a reason. Canvas Podcast, thank you so much for the gifted sub this morning. You and Mr. Euler said you are not working for free this morning, sir. Thank you for the gifted sub. Also in Tom's Army for over 1 year. Nick is back in Tom's Army now. Nick, welcome back, friend, for your second month with the Dusty Autos Crypto News. We can come to an end here. I know we've dragged on. I want to make sure Julie's doing good. She's got to go up to T school at about 12. Because the couple people that feed him through his G-Tube, they're not there today. I don't know if they're sick or they're out, but it's the first time all year we've had this problem. So they asked her if she could go in. And of course she is, and she's got to go feed them. So I want to make sure that I touch base and, you know, find out what's going on there. We come for THC. I would like to say it's not true, but it is true. If your doctor can't explain what that endocannabinoid system is, you should find a second opinion. And the problem is, well, I haven't gone to a doctor in a very long, probably over a decade. For various reasons. As I watch my fellow peers suffer with cancers and illnesses and chronic conditions that are basically caused by the pills they're given, I sit here and say I feel so blessed because even my younger siblings and cousins that are 8 to 10 years younger than me are going through these very difficult situations. One has a underactive thyroid and had to get, I don't even know what it really was, but had to get some stuff cut out from his thyroid that connected almost to his heart because it formed like something on his heart, and he went in. There was just a lot of stuff going on there. And when he was in the surgery, his heart basically stopped a few times, went into AFib. And he's only 34, and I feel so bad about that because I'm 42. And to think of his lifelong struggle he's gone through, my favorite cousin of them all, basically. I helped raise them in more than a sense. I'd be over there all the time raising them. I don't know, man. It's a scary world we live in. Scary world. And like even when I broke my hands, as you guys remember, completely fucked my fingers up. Forearm broken. You guys remember when I got cut off when I was riding my electric bike, doing about 20 miles an hour, and back in 23. I self-healed from what I knew. I may still have a little bit of issues, but I have full functionality. I should not, especially with the severity of the fracture and the torn problems in my fingers. But, you know, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff. I love Coyote Silver. In fact, I can show you one that I really like. You guys would probably be very surprised how deep I am to all of this stuff. Been learning about this for 30 years, roughly. So, and it's expensive. Don't take them unless you need them. That, ivermectin. Not the shit they tell you to take from a horse. You gotta find a pharmacy or somebody who will do it. They'll run you about $150 to $200 per 30 pills. I'm just being honest. I keep them there for the time we need. Fenbenzenol. I keep that. Every about 3 to 4 weeks, I do a 7-day cleanse with the fenbenzenol. Colloidal silver. Remember though, the parts per million is important. You don't want 100, you don't want 5, you want 10 parts per million is what you want. You do too much, you poison yourself. So, take a teaspoon. It's very simple. This is basically your nature's antibiotic. Between this, oil of oregano, and a couple other things, no, you're not going to turn blue. And if you do, so what? It is a scary world. But that's why I appreciate this community. That's why I like talking about this after an hour when we do all the charts. Because then I always say after an hour is my time. We can talk about whatever. And that's what I want everybody to realize in 26. If you stay here for the first hour, it's more on the technicals. Today was a little off and on. But after the hour, no matter how long we're on, that's our time. I know, Cannabis Podcast. That's why I can't talk about this often. But yeah. Hey, man. I love the comedic value. Sola Jeffy started fast today. Excellent. And Mrs. Stop. This is called Smart Silver. It's by Des Bio. Somebody sent me this particular one from our audience. And it's actually probably the best purity that I've had. I think the other one I used to take was like blue. It was either Blue Bridge or Blue Rhino. I can't remember. But this one is very strong and very good. And you only want deionized water in it besides the purified silver, the colloidal silver. You don't want anything else. You really don't want a whole bunch of ingredients. But if you're watching this, thank you. I don't want to say names because I don't have permission to say names. Mr. Stott. Remember when I said it, you guys would be surprised everything I do. It's funny you'd bring up, Mr. Stott, it's funny you'd be talking about oil pulling. You mean oil pulling for the teeth? My friend? In fact, I do. In fact, I do. And honestly, you do that instead of, you know what has always affected my teeth in a bad way? Flossing. Flossing has always made my gums way too sensitive. You know, and the only reason I have 2 missing teeth is because of dentist, believe it or not. They fucked up my mouth. I went to one, he made a mistake down here, broke my ventricle, and I had to live like that for almost 3 years. Remember when I started this? And then I had to go have that, like, surgery to have it. Oh, it was painful. But a dentist screwed up my ventricle. That basically is breaking the bone that your tooth is connected. But yeah. And this one that I use, it has cayenne cinnamon, but it's also got neem plus ashwagandha. Neem oil is a tooth sensitivity thing. It helps with sensitivity of teeth. So if you have neem oil in your toothpaste, very good. But yeah. But they don't teach you this. I've never went to a dentist in my life and they said, hey, do some oil pulling. Oh yeah, there's a lot of good things, Mrs. Stott. A lot of good things. And that's another thing. Like if I don't have to, I won't see a dentist anymore unless it's absolutely necessary. Because they are the reason I'm missing 2 teeth. If I had never went to a dentist, I'd still have all my teeth. And then they always want to give you fluoride, and they clean your teeth with fluoride. And last time I went, I'm like, listen, you're not cleaning my teeth. What do you mean? It's free with what you paid for. I don't want you to clean my teeth with. Are you using fluoride? Yes. Well, Sorry, I don't want fluoride on my teeth. I don't use fluoride. You're not using fluoride. And then I was like, thinking my teeth are all bad, and they're like, honestly, your teeth are a lot better than you were saying, because I'm thinking they're going to be all destroyed. And when I went a couple years ago to get this issue fixed, yeah, it was, I was very surprised with the lack of issues I had after not going to the dentist for like 7 years after that issue, or 6 years. Because the one time I went for, and one time in 10 years, they like literally, I don't know if anybody's ever experienced a broken ventricle. That shit hurts. Very bad. Very bad. The only thing worse than how it hurt was when they had to remove it. When you break a ventricle, they have to break every piece of your tooth out. And then cut your gums. Oh, it's a big mess. Wow, what a great live this ended up being. The other thing that's always bothered me is brushing twice a day. If I brushed twice a day, I would get more cavities than if I brushed once a day. It was such a weird thing when I was a kid. They'd always say, oh, you're doing a great job when I'd brush once a day, but when I'd brush twice a day, I'd always have issues. I don't know why. But I'm glad you guys had a good time with this live. A lot of information. A lot of information. And I hope maybe we gain some new fans here, knowing that this can be more than just about crypto. You know, one time I went in and to try to get the ventricle issue fixed, and when I sat down, they go, hey, you need to get a deep gum cleaning. And guess what? The deep gum cleaning, they tell everybody in these weird dentist offices, and they tell you they have to clean. Do you know how bad that is for your gums when they go in and they tear them out and start cleaning inside? It's so bad. That's why I say we're unified in this community. That's why I feel so blessed about this community. It's not just crypto. We're still watching the chart. We just spent a little extra time together today, that's all. And I needed this just as much as you guys did. Today was a nice healing day. So was yesterday, actually, when I came to that realization of something, as you guys know if you were here. And it's a beautiful thing, I think. And yesterday and today I did not work out because I was coming off of not feeling good, and I had worked out Saturday morning, ironically. Absolutely. If you want the truth in crypto, you probably want the truth in all areas. I agree with that. My ex-girlfriend's brother is a dentist, and he said we don't actually need to use toothpaste. I agree with that, actually. You need dental work right now, procrastinating. I know how it feels, believe me. Believe me. Go to the gym, I do my own cleanings. Ooh, nice. That's excellent. Family atmosphere when dad time yells at us. Well, there's less of that, hopefully, now. Jesus is the truth, right, Tom? Amen to that. Amen. There's a lady I just found on the tube that is a dentist and never flosses but uses special products. And I understand why. I mean, when you floss, you're pushing stuff into your gums, if you think about it. You might be taking stuff out from between your teeth, but what happens when you push upward into your gums? But I really do need to go because Julie's going to have to go here soon, and I want to make sure that I'm up to date. It's been an hour and a half. It's been a pleasure talking about all of this stuff. We'll continue this later. Tomorrow we'll be back, normal time. Probably closer to 9:30, 10 a.m. tomorrow because I'll probably do my workout. Unless I'm still feeling a little bit off, I don't mind giving myself 5-6 days in a row. It's been a very long stretch without any significant stretch of days off. And I did 6 days last week, 6 days the week before, and the week before that. So it's probably due for my muscles to take a couple day hiatus. Come back strong either Wednesday, Thursday. But Yeah. A-Man says there still shows large liquidity sitting at 55K, which is a great liquidity zone if we come back into that area in the short term. We're building basically one. We had to come up this morning because we had the breakdown. So we're retesting the initial drop at 64,200 roughly. So that's a big area for Bitcoin. So, but yeah, we'll continue this later. If my son's doing okay tonight, I will try to come back on, but it's never a guarantee. And you know what's funny? You know you don't gain your muscle when you're working out. You gain it through the rest and diet. Yes, you beat up your fibers and things like that. But look at that. Looks like I got a nice pump, and I haven't worked out since Saturday. I can't wait until I can go outside this summer and start shredding. Like my diet from Saturday even's gotten so much better. Sometimes it's a blessing to get sick for a day or two. It resets your system. And since I've been fasting 16 hours a day for almost 4 years now, nonstop, doesn't take much to get back on the right track. It also doesn't take much to start eating the wrong way. You get a few sugars in your body and it's over. Especially if your first thing you eat is sugar. But actually the last 3 days I feel great. I feel like I've cut out some excess weight. I can even see it in my face too. Like my cheeks aren't so wide now. I could tell that I was retaining and probably eating more than I should because my face was getting puffy, especially right here. And I'm not talking about because of pimples and stuff. I'm talking about because of excess water weight. That's a key sign. But yeah, go to the gym, bro. I don't know. I've often considered about doing workouts in my life. You know, I've done them during my lives at the end of workouts. But I mean going through a whole routine for 60 minutes or an hour or an hour and a half. Going from the curl bar to the bicep and tricep pull downs and shoulder raises and shrugs and doing your delts. And I've considered doing that. I really have. It's one of my big passions in life. But that's it. Have a blessed day. It's hard sometimes to log off because I love all of you so much.